Good evening, everyone. For the panel 2, the topic is Comprehensive Academic Norms and Rulebook for Students Enrolled under FAP. Coordinator is Dr. Ashutosh Singh, Dr. Manish Kumar, Dr. Pradeep Goyal. And the prime mover is Dr. Manish Kumar and moderator Professor Vimal Kumar IITK. So the very first we have Professor Ajit Chaturvedi. Ajit Kumar Chaturvedi is currently serving as director at IIT Roorkee. Second, we have Professor V. Rajakumar. Professor V. Rajakumar is an Indian academic who is the director of Indian Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar. Third, we have Professor K.K. Shukla, is currently the director of NIT Jamshedpur. Fourth, we have Professor Ganeshan. Dr. Ganeshan is the founding director of IIIT Sri City, Chittor. Fifth, we have Professor Vineet Kansal. He is the Vice Chancellor at Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. Sixth, we have Professor Vimal Kumar, Associate Professor, Economics Group Department of Economic Sciences. Next, we have Professor P.N. Kondekar, Director at IIT-DM Jabalpur. Eighth, we have Dr. Mohit Gambhir. He is the Innovation Director of Ministry of Education Innovation Cell, Government of India. Ninth, we have Dr. Pradeep Goyal. Dr. Pradeep Goyal is an Associate Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering in DTU. Next, we have Professor T. Lahari. He is working as a professor in the Department of Applied Sciences, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahabad. Next, we have Professor G.C. Nandi. He is currently working as the senior most professor and advisor for quality assurance and assessment of Premier Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahabad. Next, we have Dr. Manish Kumar. He is currently working as an associate professor in the Department of IT, IIT Allahabad. Next, we have Dr. Ashutosh Kumar Singh. He is an assistant professor of Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at IIT Allahabad. Thank you.
Respected, good afternoon to all of you. Respected panel members, esteemed panel members, and other dignitaries, we are here assembled for the panel 2 discussion, which actually talks about comprehensive academic norms and rule book for students enrolled under FAP. I think we have already circulated the entire FAP program and ordinance and all curriculum related details. As we know that it actually talks about two courses, which is 8-year flexible academic program in IT. Another course is 8-year flexible academic program in ECE. I think just half an hour before, we have concluded the first panel discussion, which actually talks about the entry and exit program and curriculum related issues. And it was very healthy discussions, and we have received so many suggestions, comments, and soon will be forwarding and sharing with all of you as well as. I'm just putting forward some of the indicative points, which is not exhaustive in nature, which may be the part of your discussion or comments or suggestions. Certainly, the first one is which talks about completeness, which is actually I have taken from the FAP itself, that all technical courses have been recognized and their syllabus have been redefined to ensure that there should be completeness at each exit point. Certainly, what is need to be figured out is that all exit and entry must be thoroughly scrutinized for the completeness of the program in respective streams. So certainly you are requested to give your comments or suggestions on this proposal. The second one is very much important because we are talking about subject basket. So it says that in each semester, 2 credits are required to be completed from miscellaneous basket, another 1 credit by sports or community services. Okay. Certainly this was proposal and it was highly actually acclaimed by other members also. What we looking forward is, can we have such similar baskets which could be related to some other areas also, which it might be from you can say some curricular activity oriented, some sort of sports oriented, like it could be swimming or other things as well, which already I think some of the institutes are having it. Next. Next is which actually very much I think very wisely proposed, that specialized module in place of electives. What it actually says is that instead of having different set of electives chosen by the students will choose the module which actually comprises some sort of subject which is actually giving the specialization to the students to particular field of particular stream. So obviously discussion views are welcome in this area as well. Stream change, which is very important, as many dignitaries, panel members expressed their views in the first panel itself as well. We are looking forward for the panel second also. If a student wants to continue study in one of these 2 streams, then he or she should have should move ahead through MTech by research mode. Then the question is, what would be the stream change facility for the students and on what level they should be allowed to the same. Okay, so certainly in any case stream change would be there. The student has to adopt the standard curriculum if allowed at any levels as resolved today. Other you can say points are like semesters routines for teachers, students and record keeping. Teachers routine which talks about online or offline mode of teaching, enrollment, credit bank. Whereas courses offered by faculty, then certainly it is a concern that what would be the course content, who will be the approving authority and all, suitability of the course, whether the course is core or elective, maximum number of course by 1 faculty members who can propose in this particular flexible architecture. So these are the indicative points which I'm putting forward to all of you, and I'm moving for I'm looking for a healthy sort of discussion and also some fruitful comments and suggestions in this. Thanks to all of you. I'm handing over to panel moderator Professor Bimal Kumar, IIT Kanpur, for rest of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and let me welcome you once again to this conference on FAP. This is the second panel. In the first panel, we had a discussion on entry-exit norm, offered specialization and curriculum under FAP. In this panel, we are going to discuss comprehensive academic norms and rule book for students enrolled under FAP. We have very distinguished panel with us, and I will right away start with Professor Ajit Chaturvedi. It is my pleasure to welcome you. Sir, please give your remarks. Okay, it seems Professor Chaturvedi is not here. May I request Professor Rajat Muna to give his comments on this topic? Achha, Rajat, sorry. Okay, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so Professor V. Raja Kumar, Director IIT Bhubaneswar is with us. May I request you, sir, to give your remarks? Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, it is commendable that IIT Allahabad has taken up this endeavor and involved other IIITs as well in this exercise. First of all, I hope that I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very much you are audible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, you have put up very relevant questions from the previous panel. So are you asking me for my opening remarks or some address the issues you have raised in the just in the preamble?
Sir, it would be great if you can please put your views on the theme
Sir.
this session.
Sir,
Okay.
floor is yours. We would love to hear your comments on not only just on comprehensive academic norms and rule book for students enrolled under FAP. You could also talk about entry-exit norms, but we already had a round of discussion on that topic.
Right, sure. So certainly flexibility is a prerequisite for creating a system with the important features NEP 2020 has recommended. Certainly that flexibility can be provided with a totally a redesigned system, and it can also be done by applying some important modifications and flexibility in the existing system. When I was in one of the previous exercises, it was learned that there is an attempt that is being made to bring the entire IIIT system onto one set of norms, to agree to one set of norms so that it can be effectively done. On that occasion, I also made a comment mentioning that this exercise can be done also in autonomous mode by an autonomous institution, and the system can learn from there. The entire system involving other institutes can learn from there, and therefore one can certainly, the system will further evolve. It may take longer for the system to evolve in case it is done in an autonomous mode by an institution. If it is done by a group of institutions, however, the implementation can be done faster, and one can implement the features. Certainly, even in the earlier system where we have no possibility of, where the system is not very multidisciplinary in nature, and there is a single or two entries and the exit is that whether we complete the program and leave or drop out in between. So otherwise there were no other exits possible in the system. Certainly the experience says that we do have performers performing at different levels. There are students who are interested in the program, who do very well in the program and complete the program. There are students who go off the track, mentioning that, well, they do not have so much of interest in the program. They want to complete a degree and somehow take a degree, but their interest lies somewhere else. So we do have a good percentage of such students as well who do not perform that well in a particular course. If I may say so, it can also make a program somewhat irrelevant for a student. And once a program becomes irrelevant for a student, it will only become a ritualistic exercise, and certainly the student won't be paying attention in that in the course. And we always find some students who have weaknesses and are unable to cope up with the program, and they may spend a few years. And after a few years, so an institution may take a decision saying that the student is not made for this program, therefore he should be, his name should be written off the roles of this institute. Under this kind of scenario, certainly a multiple exit is a very useful exercise, and where it can fix the ailments I have mentioned in the system, and it can be very effectively used. When you have multiple exit, certainly a person should have scope to enter somewhere in some other program. So therefore, multiple exits also call for multiple entry, and when you do this in a systematic manner. Now, in my opinion, when you provide multiple entry and multiple exits, rather, I'll put it the other way, multiple exits and multiple entries into a curriculum, it is important that you have certain level of completeness. Ideally speaking, one can switch over at any time from one program to another program, and system can permit. But when you expect that kind of a system, you need a good number of institutions to be in such a discipline, strong discipline, that their curricula should be need to be almost same, and lots of commonality should be there. Therefore, to avoid that kind of requirement, it is essential that some degree of completeness is absolutely essential at different stages, and it is certainly possible. For example, the first year engineering in a typical 4-year BTech course has somewhat common package across the different institutions. So that can be a point as well. But then the question of those who lose interest in the first year itself may come up into picture, but then a slow-paced program can make them complete that kind of the completeness, and therefore it can be implemented. It is a good idea that the completeness up to a certain level is a prerequisite for the exit at whatever stage can. There is another type of exit that is very much possible in the system. When you admit a student into a 4-year BTech program, and if you find a student unable to cope up or not able to take a 4-year BTech degree of the caliber of a particular institution, we can also think of providing a diploma degree to the student. In which case, you don't have to worry about the student entering somewhere else. You yourself is providing a different degree options to the students. So that kind of a system is also possible. In fact, when I was serving as the founding vice chancellor of the Rajiv Gandhi University of Knowledge Technologies at Hyderabad, so we thought of providing the students who are not able to take up a 4-year degree to be awarded with a diploma program. So that's what we did consider, but then somehow we couldn't implement at that level. So this kind of multiple degrees are also possible. And similarly, if somebody says, I'm interested in science, so one can also think of providing a BSc degree. So that kind of completely different programs are possible from an institution, and also with certain degrees of completeness, they can exit prematurely, and with certain maturity at the as per the completeness, and can take admission into somewhere else. However, I would like to caution about one thing on this. The entry, when you say, when you provide a student with flexibility to exit from a program, and when he enters, he or she enters another program, is it going to be the same program and in same discipline? Then the purpose may not be served. except for things like, well, I'm taking admission into an institute close to my home. Other than that, it may not. It can be into a different branch, certainly, multiple, subsequent entries can be into a different branch if that can be made possible. So therefore, while defining a system with making it possible to have multiple exits and entries, we also need to look at these issues so that the entry and exit is very meaningful and be useful to the students. Certainly, the completeness is possible going by the curricula and can be done. But one of the biggest issues we have in the curricula as it is the reduction of the credits. This is a generic problem, may not be only applicable for implementing NEP 2020. If you see the Western system, in the Western system, you have the contact hours is significantly lesser than the Indian system. There, the units are the credit equivalents to our system for a typical 4-year BS program turns out to be around 120 to 130, whereas we have our numbers hovering around, varying from 160 to 200 in different systems. Now, there actually we make they make the students do a lot of self-work, but whereas in our system, the self-work beyond the classroom is very much low, and what we expose the student to carries a lot of weightage, but then one-way feeding in a class cannot match the working by a student. So therefore, we need to fundamentally address this question. The second point we need to address typically is that in a Western system, typically, and also to some extent in the Oriental systems, we do have electives introduced in the foundation level as well. You don't provide the full foundation of civil engineering or electronics and communication or IT to the students. Whereas in our country, we seem to be believing more in providing the entire foundation, and we permit subspecialization through electives only at the final year level. Whereas they go deeper even into the third year's level and second year level, they offer the electives to the students. Both have plus and minus points. We need to address these questions really before we do an exercise, and also before we also think of multiple exit and entry, incorporating that into picture. Certainly, we need to arrive at certain level of commonality in terms of number of credits in a program, though it is not very mandatory. Well, I'll be happy to address questions from my experiences if questions come up later. To start the ball rolling, I think these are what I thought I will share with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have very nicely compared the system prevailing in Western world and the system that we have. And clearly our students are overburdened. They do many more courses, much more credit than what Western students do. And the question is how to reduce, how to find a commonality with not just with the Western, but among the systems that we have here. And of course, when we are talking about entry and exit and students would move from one institute to another institute, there has to be some common ground. Otherwise, there would be huge mismatch. And this whole exercise may be proven to be a futile exercise. So very, very important point, sir. And I very much appreciate your point regarding the reasons for exit and how the multiple entry is linked to allowing multiple exits. Thank you very much, sir. And if we have
Just
questions,
one minor correction. I would like to say that actually on the burden front, I think they're also loaded in the Western system because they give a lot of assignments and they're made to work beyond the classroom. We make our students work more in the classroom and listen to lectures in the classroom than work beyond the classroom. But in terms of number of subjects and credits, it is more.
credits.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very valid point. Thank you. Now I may invite Mr. Gambhir, Director Innovation in the Ministry of Education. The floor is yours, sir. Please kindly give your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I was just hearing Professor Saab, thank you so much for the opening floor in such a manner, sir. Though people call me that Gambhir, you are here. One Gambhir hit 6 out of the ground. You have to, but you have done the job, sir, on a lighter note. And now coming to the discussion part, it's a real thought-provoking, initiative. I must appreciate. I must say, it's been going around. And I remember from a couple of my friends who are there, who are into European education system as well. They used to come back, and then we were so mesmerized, or rather I personally, when I used to look around that 5 universities are teaching this particular fellow, and this person is so equipped, is so well groomed that anywhere, any part he can go. He has made so much acquaintances out there. He knows so many researchers. And I'm sure if FAP we are able to do efficiently and effectively, it indeed can be done. And I, again, being nostalgic, I remember my graduation days somewhere around 25, 26 years ago. The electives, they were for the sake of electives. We were never able to choose the elective we want because there was dearth of faculty members. There were dearth of, lack of offering of that particular course. Now the point is, if this is going to happen, just imagine if I want to pursue something, certainly. But as per the previous learned speaker mentioned, and in the previous panels as well, the ground, it has to be laid in such a manner, foundation has to be so strong because lives are involved here. And one thing I must always, I always say, and I must repeat here as well, education and skilling. These are two different tangents. What I again perceive, maybe the seniors, they may correct, that I believe education is something which makes us strong, which makes us lifelong learner. And then skilling is something which comes in the interim, like where we say, if I want to aspire something and I'm not able to get in, let me enter, let me get this skill, let me get equipped, and let me be more at the upfront level. But the base, the fundamental from whosoever is being offered, it should be at a level that student, no matter what is the visa we are being, offering, or the enable, the X institute or the VI or the PI, it has to be standardized in a manner that no glitch should be there, take up must be there. Because if we are offering something and we don't, get it right at the very first instant, the outcome, it will be hampered then and there. It will be a big thing. Another, aspect which I, again, from the innovation and the department, I look around the kind of programs we run around. I personally feel in this FAP, the way, the direction our economies are moving, an open question I would like to throw in front of all these stalwarts, because at the end, all of you would be much more intriguing, much more involved in making this policy and forwarding it further. That why not to include something kind of, again, I understand a course may be offered like an entrepreneurship, but just imagine if somebody wants to do a startup at X facility, X incubator, Y college, Z facility. Is it included? Is it not? Shall we include that? Can it be make as a a generic and a standardized manner? Again, open questions. I don't know. I don't have answers for all these things. But to all the seniors, to the learned people, can it be made in such a manner that if I want to do something, I want to go to X institution, but I suddenly realize that at Z there is something which I must go along, I must take. Will there be a flexibility that for the particular time period, for my that particular direction, I can go there and fetch that information and come back to VI? Can there be a duration setup? Can there be like 2 days, 5 days, or 2 months or 10 months? Because in theory, in fundamental, in other credit CC based courses, it can be done. But how will we parameterize? How will we value? How will we put on those chunks when we say if I'm working on some kind of thought process, some kind of a startup, some kind of something which we now say even to our faculty members from our end, the innovation cells, and we have started doing this in our national innovation and startup policy, that they must be promoted or given the due advantage if they are the board members of some company. It is happening in premier institutions, but pardon me, it is not happening in other institutions. So like can they, if they have the DIN numbers, if they have other things, all those kind of facilities, and can they be promoted in their CAS and other things? So deliberations are happening. But at the student level, can it be promoted like from then and there? We, NEPS sir mentioned that there would be, much more amalgamation of different multidisciplinarity would be coming in. Now, and then I believe this is going to play a vital role that, and as our the gist of or the base of our discussion topic, it's about the faculty. And I again very strongly believe everything will revolve around the person, the course coordinator, the person who is going to initiate, and then who are the teammates. How are these things going to be validated and credited? At the end, students must not be the sufferers. That's we have to ensure. It may be 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, but the key takeaway should be something. Today, if we are roping in technology and other things, like in IT, I was just glancing through. And again, just pardon me, I understand typos can happen, but on the mindset of student, like if it's written there, full stack development, it is full stack development, right? In our PDFs, we have done that. Now the point is, these are minor things, but if we are looking in, if you're looking from that kind of perspective, today we talk about what will happen down the line, even next year, when we say OpenAI would be coming in and we don't need to teach code or write code. Are we putting up that kind of flexibility in the course content enablement as well, that the faculty and the course offer? Today, we are having like 100% enrollment. Will it be continuing for the third semester or third year or second year onwards, and what not? If not, how much flexible we are in our setting up as in the course content and the course curriculum, how frequently we are going to modify. EC, I understand, it is a core thing, but for IT, where application focused is more, we are going on. In EC, we can just top up. In IT, if we are teaching fundamentals, other things can also be, or what flexibility to the coordinator or to the course offerings we are going to rope in it. So ultimately, to sum up, wonderful idea, wonderful concept. The way forward, it has to go, but we must look towards inclusiveness, towards indigenous stuff as well, blindly not following that, rather taking inspiration, taking leads from what others have done, but make a system something of our own. Maybe it's a long race. So down the line, 5, 6, 7 years after, if somebody looks at, they say, yes, our policymakers, our seniors, our educationists, they have made something wonderful, that others now they want to follow the system which has been created through this FAP. Wonderful thought, and kudos to everybody that we are talking and discussing this. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Gambhir, for your thoughtful comments. I really liked your comment regarding how in Europe a student can become familiar to 5 different universities. A very famous example that I have from US in Harvard and MIT, that if you are enrolled in Harvard, you are allowed to take any courses from MIT and vice versa. So no bureaucratic hurdle, it's allowed to begin with, okay? So, but I'm pretty certain that Triple IT, Allahabad and Nitesh ji is working in this direction. The ultimate aim is that to have that kind of portability available in India, we have to go a long way, but we will definitely reach there. So thank you for your comment. And I have also experienced that, electives are electives just in name. When I'm from IIT Kanpur, we have a new department of Economic Sciences. and I'm heading that department. And when we began the program, we had 6 faculty members and 20 courses on paper, but of course we couldn't offer those many courses. So all electives became just in name. But fortunately now we are able to recruit, so now we are giving. So I think, the issue there is very different. It's not about, what this program is talking about. It's finding, identifying and hiring the right candidate. And of course, this flexibility will only happen when we are able to do that. So that's a very, very important thing. And for entrepreneurship, I cannot speak for Triple IT Allahabad, but if I look at the template that they have shared, it has other courses, and people can take courses from social sciences and other discipline. There we can definitely include entrepreneurship. So to add, because I'm from IIT Kanpur and we are trying to offer, in principle, we have approved a new course called BTM, Bachelor of Technology and Management. And there we will have entrepreneurship, accounting, management as compulsory courses. So perhaps, when we are searching for flexibility, we have to think in different direction. This is a great beginning, at least in one direction. I'm pretty certain that Triple IT Allahabad would take a lead and come up with different flexible programs. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, it's my pleasure to invite Professor Ganeshan, Director, Triple IT, Sri City. Sir, please give your remarks. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are audible, sir.
Yes, thank you. I'm supposed to reach my campus, but unfortunately there's a traffic. I'm sitting in a car. I'm attending the call from the car. Thank you very much for inviting me in this particular conference. And first of all, congratulations to Triple the extremely, important people that you are you have invited.
Sir,
So
your voice is actually not
one
coming
second.
properly.
Sir, if you could
Is
switch
it
off
okay
your
now?
video,
I'll close my
perhaps
video
voice
for a moment.
quality would be better.
Yeah. Correct. I'll do that. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So, the idea of a flexible, architecture is really a nice idea, and this is required for the given current situation, wherein we have been following an approach for 30-40 years, and we have got so many colleges, so many colleges at different levels, but still our employability is relatively low in many colleges. And also the graduates who are coming out of these colleges are getting degrees, and with those degrees they are not able to take up proper employment and proper career opportunities. I mean, leaving those top institutions like IITs and others. Now, what we have not understood for decades is student is a human being, and he has got strengths and weaknesses, and he has got likes and dislikes, and those traits change over a period of time. These days, it changes very frequently and very often. It changes, and somehow our curriculum, a beta curriculum for 4 years or an integrated program for 5 years, is assuming that the student is sort of an entity which has got a fixed expectations, and for the next 5 years, and he or she will graduate with that expectation. But unfortunately, it is not true, and we have seen in our own cases where this needs attention, and here is an opportunity to do that. The first thing that has happened is the digital learning or digital platforms that are today, leveraging and enabling education at anywhere, anytime. And one of the important features of that is self-learning. And you don't need to really teach the students for 60 hours. And the assumption that we think that the students learn only out of our lectures is being now, proved to be wrong. And the students have their own pace, they have their own ways of learning, and the flexible systems will allow us to provide that. There are two important things that were talked at the beginning. One is the stream change, and the other one is the electives. And both are very important points. I don't need to repeat it. And the students who join the degree when they are 17 years old and they come into the college, start talking to the teachers, talking to the peers, listen to lectures, read on their own, then they think that this particular branch of study is what they don't want to do, and they are liking is somewhere else. So, but our curriculum somehow doesn't allow the student to change streams. That's the first one. The second one is the electives. Everybody talked about electives, and we somehow offer electives at the end. And somebody pointed out that these electives were offered, and there was no excitement in taking those electives and learning something out of those electives. So these two are the fundamental issues that can be solved through this proposed approach. Today, we have, in the last 2 years in our institute, IIIT Sri City, we have introduced what is called a specialization, BTech specialization. Now, why we did this? We have 250 computer science students, and we have one curriculum for 250 computer science. It's a typical vanilla curriculum that we have, and with the 150, 160 credits, and everybody goes through this. And the market, if you look at the job market, they are looking at specialized graduate, or in the sense that they should have some basics of certain emerging technologies. Only then they are interested to hire them. So we realized this vanilla BTech computer science program or vanilla BTech EC program is not going to really help, and they need to really look at further specialization. We have what we did was we reduced the overall credit requirements from 160 to 144, and we introduced specialization starting from the 4th semester. They will start looking at specialization, and they do about 20 credits through courses and projects. And we found this approach used to be really helping the students. So with this, what is happening is, instead of a student taking random electives across various topics, when they do a series of different but related electives under a specialization, it helps. So this flexibility can further be extended in the proposed approach. A student can take a specialization from another university, or 2 subjects under a specialization can be taken from another university. This flexible architecture will allow what we have done is within an institution, but what can happen is it can be taken across institutions. The second thing is about the skill focus that someone pointed out. Now, what is happening is today the employability improves, their ability to become entrepreneurs, the ability to work in startups improves if more and more skill orientation or skill focus is there in the teaching learning process. And for example, we have last batch of students introduced a track of 3 courses. We call it as full stack development. Now they go through the course starting from 3rd, 4th, 5th semesters, and they do an internship in the summer, and their employability has improved significantly. So this is about how do we integrate skill. Now this kind of courses, let's say it's full stack development, it can be something else. This particular opportunity can be made available students of other universities as well. So this flexible architecture will provide that as well. And finally, we are now looking at continuing education programs where it is for working professionals, where we are looking at multiple exits. And a 2-year MTech program is divided into 3 stages of 8 months in terms of time to a period. In terms of credit, they will do 1/3 of the credits in 8 months, and probably another 2/3 of the credits in 8 months and complete. They get a certificate in the first stage, they get a diploma second stage. In the third stage, he or she will get a degree, MTech degree. This has been approved by the board and Senate. We are launching it soon in the next academic year. So to me, all this that is being proposed in the scheme are very good. And as Professor Rajakumar was saying, it is more about making sense. And we need to see completeness in small module level, or a big module level, or at the program level. And otherwise, whatever confusion that we have, whatever weakness that we have, will continue to be there in the system if we are not able to ensure completeness. With these few ideas, I thank organizers once again for the opportunity given to me. I would like to listen more from the other panel members. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ganeshan, for your words. You have touched upon very important topic, and I always feel, sometimes my colleagues don't like it when I say that students are getting into program just to get a good employment. But it's very, very important that we bring this topic front and center, and we cater to their need. And that's, employment shouldn't be a dirty word. It is a very important, because if it is guided by the demand and supply forces in the market, society needs it. That's why companies are hiring these students. So it is, in a way, our job to give them electives which make them better employable. So thank you very much, sir, for bringing it to the front. Now, I have pleasure to invite Professor T. Lahiri of IIIT Allahabad. Professor Lahiri, floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, and respected earlier speakers and the respected other members in the audience, our Honorable Director, Sir, Professor P. Nagabhushan. So in this August assembly, I was thinking about what is this flexible sort of system in academics. And earlier also, I have taken part in this type of colloquiums, so and panel discussion also. So over there, initially, and I think evolution matters, through which actually gradually we are getting educated about this system. Because earlier I was thinking that the system is already flexible. It's so flexible that means very close to what we call as arbitrariness and arbitrary system. Everything is possible, go as you like sort of thing. And it is not in India only. Everywhere actually the system and then the rules, norms are well placed, and within this some lacunas are there, loopholes are there. We find all these things, and through these loopholes and lacunas emerges many means kind of academic erroneous outcomes. So I should not actually comment about the products. So those things were already in place. Then what kind of flexibility, more flexibility do we require? I was actually a bit puzzled about that. Right now, I understand that with time, obviously, we all, I hope that we are getting educated, that flexibility is a very natural thing. Means I am, whatever I am saying right now from the aspect of philosophical side, obviously. So this flexibility we have through natural course, means when we take birth, then obviously we are just of 1 feet of length, and gradually we become taller and taller, and then up to 5 feet, 6 feet. The framework is same. It is rigid. It is not flexible, but obviously the growth of our physical system, it actually tells us that it is flexible also. So this rigidity and flexibility, these two things are actually coexist. And obviously, in that sense, what I can say that it is already in our philosophy, especially Indian philosophy, that there is a concept of absolute Brahma and also the relative world. That relative world, actually, obviously, everything is happening over there. Nothing is impossible in this relative world, and the absolute world is also there, some universal truth. We have the concept of some universal truth. In religions also, every religion we find the concept of universal truth. So we should actually look into the merits and demerits of this type of concepts. And obviously, I think right now this flexible academic program, the concept of this is really very unique. And in that sense, it is means going to give something that is totally different from our existing flexible system, the arbitrary system. So obviously, it is a unique one being offered to us. And kudos to Professor Purohit, Nitesh Purohit, and his team, and also the respected academicians who are actually scattered throughout our the whole country, that is India. So with this, what I mean to say is that this system, being a very unique one, should have some sort of formalisms. Formalisms are already there in the system. We already had all sort of formalisms. The system, we are actually going to refer it as old system, although we have not implemented FAP. So currently, whatever system we are having, that is also having rules and norms, everything we have. But we should think whether this system, before actually telling that this system is not working, it is bad, it is erroneous, before telling all these things, we should actually think twice, are we sure that this system is perfectly implemented? So it is not implemented even because of many violation of rules and norms. Rules and norms are there, violations are also there. And many times I find that nobody is there to point out all these things. So as long as you are not pointing out, then violation remains. And that is the problem with any system. And in that sense, a very, very good implementation of rules and norms, a very simple but very good system is existing within India that can be somehow adapted within the FAP. That is my view. That is the railway ticket booking system. In railway ticket booking system, you see, there is a concept of station. Train moves from one station to another station. So that can be equated with the career path of a particular student. Stations are actually his achievement up to this point, and then he should proceed to another station. So that is the flexibility he is having. And because of that, the unique railway ticket booking system, the algorithms, everything can be incorporated with obviously due modifications that can be incorporated over there. Because of the fact that violation of rules and norms, you see, we have the concept, we have the very good experience also, the old fellows especially, when this railway ticket booking system was not there. At that moment, you see, what was the problem? The touts, dalals were roaming around, and we were actually very much troubled in actually getting a ticket, railway ticket properly. Right now, it's not a matter. So that is one point that we can think of. Another one is actually the mandate national mandate should be very much honored. Means in any kind of academic activity, there should be some sort of target that should be descended from the academic mandate, that is the national mandate. Obviously, the freedom of research into some apparently absurd things means, especially in the area of science, that can be allowed. Means people can play with their concepts, ideas to actually think about something apparently absurd, but in the long run can give us some benefit. That can be think of. And for that very reason, the whole thing should be goal oriented. Means very much tuned with the national mandate, means national requirement. And nothing should be wasted. Obviously, this FAP is actually tuned to that. This, suppose after 1 year, whatever skill acquired by the student, that will not be wasted. Means he is going to get some sort of means award, degree, diploma, whatever it is for that very thing, certificate, whatever it is. So that certificate, again, that certificate should not be a kind of career satisfaction for him. That should be goal-oriented, fulfilling the national mandate, that even these certificate holders are also required for our country. So looking into that aspect, it should be tuned, fixed. So that very thing should be there. And obviously, with this particular aspect of this tuning and fixing these roles of this type of activities, the roles should be fixed for the academicians. And with this, what I feel that the whole thing should be holistically connected, like the graph theory concept should be applied over there without any means hassles and bustles like railway ticket booking system. I'm coming into that again. So with this, I'm ending over here, wishing this FFE curriculum best, and also giving thanks to everybody for actually tolerating this type of typical idea for so long. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Professor Lahiri. You took us on a philosophical journey as well as train journey, linking it to absolute Brahma to relative Brahma and how, how things are changing. And I really like the example of a train system and how, it's a very nice way to understand what's happening. So let me say that we have fixed the train system and perhaps we will fix the education system also. So thank you very much, sir. Now I have this opportunity to invite Professor K.K. Shukla, Director, NIT Jamshedpur. Sir, kindly give your remark. Thank you.
Good evening. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Professor Nagbhushan ji, Director, Triple IT Allahabad, Professor Purohit, Coordinator of this workshop, distinguished speakers who have just spoken in this session and also in the morning session. Warm welcome from NIT Jamshedpur and good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to sincerely apologize for not joining well in time because my office did not put the mail to me that this link has come. I was in my office anyway. Nonetheless, I'm late but in right time. I was listening to the speakers and on this aspect of flexible academic program. Yes, this is, I must congratulate Triple IT Allahabad for taking this initiative. It's very easy to say, but it is very difficult to implement. So I hope that this deliberations will show some light on implementation part. right now what we are living, if I talk about the NIT system mostly, or I'm not talking of the IT system, they have little bit flexibility, but in NITs or some other tier 2, tier 3 colleges, if I summarize in one word, we are having the right but tight compartment. The aim is to have the tight but light compartment. I would like to begin with a quote. A student says that I cannot understand what you teach. Sir, would you like to teach the way I can understand? So this should be the whole philosophy of the teaching and the academic program, and flexibility is the answer. But of course, there should be caution in implementation. We talk about the multidisciplinary approach. We talk about the electives. We talk about the credit transfer, so on. But if you see, and you go on implementing, I have the experience at NIT Jamshedpur, I will say in a couple of minutes, that when we are going for the course revision for different courses, people say, if I take the example of civil engineering or mechanical engineering, the core courses, core branches, people say that if I don't teach this subject, he or she cannot be a complete civil or mechanical engineer. So there is always doubt. We have a credit that should not exceed. It should be limited to 160. I was going through the draft provided by IIIT Purohit also. So it's well made, well documented that we have the credit. What I feel that in flexibility, if we go for, we can make a basket of different branches, say for example, civil, mechanical, metallurgy, production and industrial and so on, one basket. Another is the electrical, electronics and communication, computer science, IT, engineering, physics and so on. So we can have different baskets. In these baskets, to maintain the flexibility, what we can have, for example, one sub basket of courses containing humanities, sciences, considering physics, chemistry, mathematics, environmental sciences, and some courses of the programming as the basic courses, basic courses that may differ for the civil engineering stream. We can say the infrastructure or mechanical sciences, and the communication or the electronics stream. Both have to read, but that may be different. And of course, we can offer some field courses related to the branch. Now, this should maintain at least, say, for example, 120 or 130 credits. Now, depending upon what the Professor Lahari was giving the example of train, that a student has to go one destination to other destination depending upon his or choice. So we should leave this flexibility to the students for opting elective courses as per their choice. So if we want to implement the flexibility, we can have say that for acquiring a degree, this is the minimum number of credit. Anything 140, 150, whatsoever of the deliberations one can decide. But above this, depending upon your own interest, because ultimately the interest of the student has to be served, that we can offer the electives. Anyone can take, say, student A takes the 20 credits additional, student B can take 17 credits or 15 credits, up to a minimum to maximum credit. So depending upon the requirement or interest, the student can take the credit as form of elective courses. Now the real problem is with the implementation, because most of the institutions, they are having lack of the faculty members. So what actually happening, we give the electives, but we force that you have to take these electives. So if in practical, if the flexibility has to be implemented, then definitely we have to take the help of the faculty members from other institutions. And that the credit transfer, this philosophy of the credit transfer, or having the courses online mode from different institutions or from Swayam or MOOCs platform or the online platform, that can serve the purpose. Then somehow we can implement the flexibility. And another aspect that mostly in engineering institutions in tier 2 or tier 3, I've seen that we may mostly focus on the theory, but little bit experience on the practical. And most of the experiments labs are on demonstrative type, that you go and you have you don't have the prototype, you have the model, the teacher or the instructor demonstrate, you go away, write the things and go away, write the stuff and go away. So there must be some sort of you can say courses which we can do like this, learning by doing. That there should be certain lab classes, that whatever you want to do it, we must give this flexibility to the students, that suppose you are studying a particular branch and you have something in your mind, you want to do it, we'll provide you the opportunity, you go to the lab, pursue your passion and come up with some product or something. That's what we can inculcate, this open lab type of concept. In fact, apart from the traditional one, in each and every program we can have the open lab concepts where the student can pursue his or passion apart from doing projects. So this is one thing which come to my mind. Another thing that we have to give focus, we have to focus on the emerging technologies or the current technologies. For example, we are going to implement a course here. That's what IIT Delhi has already started. We are also going to start at NIT Jamshedpur, Engineering, Mechanics and Competition. We have adopted this course as a multidisciplinary approach. That how to use machine learning in mechanics, how to use artificial intelligence in mechanics. That's all. How to use the data analytics or data structure in the mechanics. So that's what this type of courses, where not only we will be teaching the basic courses of the mechanics, solid fluid or bio, we will also integrate it with the current technologies. So that should be the one way where we can have the multidisciplinary approach. Right now, someone was saying that in IIT Kanpur, they have the courses on the economic side. So how we can integrate the economy with the technology, that should be, I think that can be a great sense, that can make a great sense. So these are some things, if we want to pursue, in fact, the flexibility in real sense, we have to think as far as the academic institutions are concerned. So in short, if I would like to summarize that the course curriculum, that has to be, though it is there, it has to be learner centric, considering the interest of the students. Apart from the normal pedagogy, we have to go for the concept of open labs where the student can pursue. We should also incorporate more electives in addition to the basic requirement of the degree, where the student can pursue if the facilities are available at the institute, or what Triple IT has taken the lead in this, that they have tried to form a consortium that we can take such institutions where the faculty or facilities available in other institutions, the student can take help of that institute or facility or faculty of other institutions, or online mode, and can pursue that course to be evaluated by the other institute or at the host institute itself. So these are the things which we can really do. It is doable, and I'm glad that Triple IT Allahabad has taken a lead, and they are going for this 2 days workshop, and I'm confident that the deliberations out of this workshop will definitely be beneficial and helpful, and I'm looking forward and eager to have the positive output in form of some blueprint how to move ahead with implementation of an NAP in really making the academic program in real sense flexible. Otherwise, it's tight one. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and giving me this opportunity to sharing my thought process. Thank you. Please take care.
Thank you, Professor Shukla. You are very right, sir, when you put implementation at front of the issue. We can all plan, come up with a really fancy template, but everything will die out if we do not implement it properly. So implementation is the key, and we have to work towards that. Thank you very much, sir. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Prateep Goyal from DTO. Sir, floor is yours. Kindly give your comments. Thank you.
सभी को सादर नमस्कार। जैसा कि मेरे से पूर्व वक्ताओं ने काफी इस पर अपने जो है व्यूज व्यक्त किए हैं कि मल्टीपल एंट्री मल्टीपल एग्जिट सिस्टम किस तरह का होना चाहिए। जैसा कि हम जानते हैं मैकोले ने 1835 में कहा था कि भारत में ऐसी शिक्षा व्यवस्था लेके आएंगे जिससे कि भारतीय मन से विदेशी हो, तन से भारतीय हो। तो जो हमारे जो सिस्टम है, जो मल्टीपल एंट्री, मल्टीपल एग्जिट और मल्टीपल सब्जेक्ट की डिसिप्लिन की हम बात कर रहे हैं, ये प्राचीन सिस्टम है। जो हमारे तक्षशिला विश्वविद्यालय थे, नालंदा विश्वविद्यालय थे, सभी इसी पर आधारित थे। तो वहां पर जो 64 कलाओं शिक्षा की, हम 64 कलाओं शिक्षाओं की बात करते थे, वे सारी कादम्बरी शिक्षा जो हमारी थी, उसमें स्टूडेंट्स का जो है होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट होता था। जो हम आज बात कर रहे हैं, होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं, तो उसके लिए स्टूडेंट्स को फ्रीडम होना चाहिए सब्जेक्ट क्या पढ़े। परंतु अभी प्रोफेसर कणिभरन ने उठाया था कि स्टूडेंट रैंडमली सेलेक्ट नहीं करे, कि उसको पता ही नहीं कि जो ले रहा है सब्जेक्ट सेलेक्ट कर रहा है। तो देयर शुड बी सम बास्केट होना चाहिए कि सपोज बीटेक सिविल इंजीनियरिंग विद माइनर स्पेशलाइजेशन आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, कोई स्टूडेंट माइनर स्पेशलाइजेशन करना चाहता है, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस में करना चाहता है, तो उसको एक बास्केट होना चाहिए। स्टूडेंट्स यदि सब्जेक्ट लेगा तो उसको स्पेशलाइजेशन ये, माइनर स्पेशलाइजेशन ये मिलेगा, मेजर स्पेशलाइजेशन ये मिलेगा। तो उसको एक गाइडलाइंस की तरह होना चाहिए, अदरवाइज ऐसा स्टूडेंट रैंडमली सिलेक्ट करेगा और उसको पता ही नहीं उसने लास्ट में क्या कर लिया है। और दूसरा विषय जो ये था कि मल्टीपल एंट्री मल्टीपल एग्जिट जो सिस्टम है, तो वे स्टूडेंट, पहले तो हमें ये विचार करना होगा कि स्टूडेंट मल्टीपल एग्जिट क्यों कर रहा है, मल्टीपल एंट्री क्यों कर रहा है। तो मेरे मेरे मन में ये आता है कि दो कारण होते हैं। एक तो पहला कारण ये हो सकता है कि स्टूडेंट जो है, कई कुछ स्टूडेंट होते हैं, बहुत कम परसेंटेज होती है कि स्टूडेंट कंटिन्यू नहीं कर पा रहा है ड्यू टू फैमिली कंडीशंस, कि फर्स्ट ईयर के बाद छोड़ के जा रहा है, सेकंड ईयर के बाद कुछ लेफ्ट करना पड़ रहा है, थर्ड ईयर में लेफ्ट करना पड़ रहा है। तो उस केस में हमें ये करना होगा कि फर्स्ट ईयर का सिलेबस इस तरह का बनाए हम कि फर्स्ट ईयर में हम सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हैं, तो वहाँ की फर्स्ट ईयर के सिलेबस के अंदर वहाँ की जो लोकल कंडीशंस हैं उसके अकॉर्डिंग सिलेबस में इंक्लूड करना चाहिए कि वहाँ पर स्टूडेंट जस्ट इक्विवेलेंट टू ITI वहाँ पर वह काम कर सके। सेकेंड ईयर में हम उसको सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हैं, थर्ड ईयर में उसको हम डिग्री दे रहे हैं। तो हमारा सिलेबस तरह का प्लान किया जाना चाहिए कि उसको सर्टिफिकेट मिल जाए, डिप्लोमा मिल जाए और डिग्री मिल जाए। तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग हमें सिलेबस बनाना होगा। फर्स्ट ईयर का वहाँ के लोकल कंडीशन को देख के हमें बनाना होगा कि वहाँ पर स्टूडेंट निकलता है तो वहाँ की लोकल कंडीशन में रहकर वो कैसे काम कर सके। और दूसरा मल्टीपल जो एंट्री का एक दूसरा जो कारण जो मेरे दिमाग में आता है, ये लगता है कि दूसरे स्टूडेंट चाहता है, उसने कोई फर्स्ट ईयर में किसी स्टूडेंट एडमिशन लिया है, अब लगता है कि मुझे सेकंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर में बेटर इंस्टीट्यूट में जाना है, तो वे किस तरह उसके लिए मल्टीपल वे एंट्री कर सकता है, एग्जिट कर सकता है। यदि वो एग्जिट करता है तो दूसरे इंस्टीट्यूट में जाने के लिए क्या रूल्स होने चाहिए कि दूसरे इंस्टीट्यूट को किस बेसिस पर उसको अपनी एंट्री देगा। तो इसके क्लियर गाइडलाइंस बननी चाहिए कि स्टूडेंट लगता है स्टेट इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में किसने एडमिशन लिया, उसको लगता है कि NIT में एडमिशन लेना है, मुझे सेकंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर में लेना है, तो उसके लिए कुछ गाइडलाइंस होनी चाहिए कि उसमें स्टूडेंट जो है सेकंड ईयर में जो दूसरे बेटर इंस्टीट्यूट में जाना चाहता है तो कैसे जाएगा। तो इसके लिए कुछ गाइडलाइंस फ्रेम होनी चाहिए। यही मेरे एक व्यूज हैं इसके ऊपर। थैंक यू सर।
प्रदीप गोयल जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। आपने बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बिंदु की एंट्री और एग्जिट कैसे हो और उनसे रिलेटेड क्या इशू हैं उस पर प्रकाश डाला। मैं अब इनवाइट करता हूं कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर मनीष कुमार जी को टू गिव अ वोट ऑफ थैंक्स। थैंक यू। अच्छा, by the way, pardon me, if anyone has any question, please go ahead. We have time. I'm sorry. So we have time. If you have any questions to each other or to audience or anyone here has any question, please go ahead. We have time.
Thank you, Professor Bimal. So I'm here to thank all the esteemed panel members, namely Professor V. Raja Kumar, Professor Ajit Chaturvedi, due to some urgent meeting, he was not available. Professor K.K. Sukla, Professor Ganeshan, again Professor Breath Kansal, due to some busy schedule could not attend. Professor Dr. Mohit Gambhir, Dr. Pradeep Goyal, Professor T. Lahari, and also I would like to thank our Honorable Director, Professor P. Nagabhusan sir, who is actually being in so busy schedule, still he picked some time for this panel discussions, and he is still present in this house. Thank you, sir. I'm thankful to all my network supporting staff and other staff as well. Thankful to coordinator Professor Nitish Purohit. So overall, I think this session was very fruitful, and we had very good inputs. We got it, which will be forwarding to the next discussion forum. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks.